Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Every Moon Woke Up Monster. The moon is a sentient celestial entity that replaced Earth's actual moon approximately 12,000 years ago after a planet sized cosmic horror obliterated the original and birthed this one as a replacement. For context, this happened in 10,000 BC, which means the moon you've been looking at your entire life was never real. It was a parasitic imposter that spent 12 millennia pretending to be a normal satellite while orbiting at a completely normal distance of 384,400 kilometers, maintaining completely normal tidal forces and exhibiting completely normal gravitational behavior. The Soviets detected the first signs of sentience in 1959 when the Luna 2 spacecraft recorded what they classified as anomalous surface movement. What they actually recorded was the lunar surface briefly opening to reveal eyes before closing again and returning to its dormant state. They archived this footage and apparently decided not to mention it to anyone. On July 20th, 1969, during the Apollo 11 mission, the moon woke up. The astronauts detected unusual tremors on the lunar surface approximately 4 hours before arrival, which should have been their first clue to turn around. The moon's eyes and mouth formed across its surface. It spun around to face Earth directly, and it began moving toward the planet. The spacecraft was destroyed by the moon's gravitational influence, killing the crew. The moon then crashed face first into Central Africa at full speed, creating what is now referred to as the lunar impact. This killed 3.2 billion people, which represents 90% of Earth's population at the time. All of Earth's major oceans dried up within 5 years. The moon is now permanently embedded in Earth's surface, where it either died on impact or returned to dormancy while bleeding a pink substance called element 75U across the crash site. The moon sports the series' iconic nightmare face, pure black eyes, and a wide slasher smile that stretches across the entire lunar surface. Humanity's greatest achievement was reaching the moon. Unfortunately, the moon had other plans, and those plans involved vehicular manslaughter on a planetary scale. FRIEND Industries has since constructed the colossal juicer on top of the embedded moon, harvesting the element 75U. It continues to leak and using it to power all of their electronics, truly inspiring that humanity's response to cosmic annihilation was to build a giant straw and start drinking. Next up is the moon-fected, are humans who have been infected by element 75U, a pink substance that began appearing after the lunar impact. When this material gets into people's bodies through inhalation, consumption, or exposure to lunar radiation and cosmic frequencies, it mutates them so they have the same face as the moon, pure black eyes, and a wide slasher smile stretched across their features. They then act as feral, vicious zombies that tear apart anyone who isn't infected. The moon's face is so contagious it literally spreads like a biological meme, turning the human population into walking advertisements for cosmic horror. The moon-fected primarily roam the Umbra Zone, which is a 280-kilometer radius around the moon's crash site that FRIEND Industries has cordoned off as hostile territory. This is the first stage of the lunar infection, meaning if you get infected, this is what you become before things get worse. They're relatively weak compared to later stages and can be easily killed by FRIEND Industries soldiers using conventional weapons. Michael, the child from episode 2 who was drawing pictures of the awakened ones, is a notable example. His father turned him around only to discover his son had been moon-fected and was now sporting the signature nightmare face. Hey, here's the genuinely baffling part. Survivors in the Umbra Zone who don't have access to water or food will sometimes drink element 75U as a substitute. Let me be very clear about what this means. These people look at the glowing pink fluid that is obviously turning everyone into murderous zombies, a substance so dangerous that FRIEND Industries sends armed soldiers to harvest it, and they think to themselves, I'm thirsty. They then drink it, and they transform into moon-fected. Extraordinary, I know. FRIEND Industries, demonstrating the peak of corporate innovation, uses this same zombie-creating substance to power all of their electronics, toothbrushes, spacecraft, weapon systems, all running on liquefied cosmic infection. The moon-fected are essentially the result of humanity's two greatest talents, ignoring obvious danger and weaponizing things that should not be weaponized. Moving on to moon beasts are the second stage of the lunar infection, meaning they're what happens when the moon-fected have been affected by lunar radiation or cosmic frequencies long enough to evolve into something considerably more dangerous. They retain a humanoid appearance with several key differences that make them visually distinct from their weaker predecessors. Moon beasts are taller and lankier than humans, with their arms reaching down to their knees in a way that should be anatomically impossible but isn't. Their skin is completely gray, their hair is completely gone, and only their facial features remain the same, which means they still have the moon's signature black eyes and slasher smile. They're essentially what you get when you take a human, stretch them out, remove all pigmentation, and crank the nightmare factor up to maximum. The moon beasts possess an extreme level of strength, resistance, and endurance compared to human moon-fected. They're capable of picking up humans as if they were small items and throwing them over large distances as if they weigh nothing. We're talking hundreds of feet through the air, the kind of distance that turns a person into a projectile. They're also completely immune to conventional weapons such as shotguns and rifles, which means the Umbra Corps soldiers who brought guns to fight them made a tactical error that I'm sure worked out great. Moon beasts are considerably less common than regular moon-fected, which is the only reason humanity hasn't been completely wiped out yet. The first moon beast appeared near the end of episode 3, lurking in the background while a recovery unit was dealing with a regular moon-fected. It was just watching, which is somehow more unsettling than if it had immediately attacked. Another moon beast emerged from the ruined city in the Umbra Zone, stared directly at the point of view character for several seconds, then zoomed out of the screen at a speed that should not be possible for something that size. They're fast enough to chase down vehicles, strong enough to rip through van ceilings, and durable enough to shrug off gunfire. David, the Umbra Corps soldier with a wheel for his lower body, was ripped in half by two moon beasts in episode 9 after deciding to hold them off on his own. His upper body was detached from his wheel, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Subject 24 X's Element 75. U-powered cannon vaporizes moon beasts instantly, proving that the correct way to fight moon monsters is with weaponized moon juice. FRIEN. D Industries figured this out 150 years into the apocalypse, which raises questions about what they were doing for the previous century and a half. Next up are moon titans, are the third and most dangerous stage of moon-fected evolution, which means the infection doesn't stop at making you a superhuman gray zombie that's immune to bullets. Moon titans are described as being like moon beasts, but several stories high, meaning they're the size of apartment buildings. FRIEND Industries constructed what they proudly call the world's greatest wall to contain the Umbra Zone and keep these things locked away for over a century. The moon titans just walk over it. The wall's effectiveness is roughly equivalent to building a sandcastle to stop a tsunami. The first moon titan appeared at the end of episode 8, blocking a highway and staring down at a group of Umbra Corps Marines who just spent the entire episode effortlessly mowing down regular moon-fected. The Marines attempted to escape by reversing their vehicle, which is when a second moon titan appeared and slammed its fist onto the vehicle, forcing the group to abandon it entirely. One of the Marines tried to escape by activating the jets on his back, demonstrating the kind of optimism that gets you killed in cosmic horror scenarios. The moon titan grabbed him mid-flight and crushed him with its fist in seconds, killing him instantly. His strategy of fly away from the building-sized monster was not as effective as he'd hoped. The first moon titan then reached its arm out toward the point of view Marine, who retaliated by shooting it with Subject 24X's Element 75 U cannon and blowing off the Titan's hand. The Titan did not stop. It kept fighting with one hand missing, which tells you everything you need to know about their durability and pain tolerance. The Marine trio climbed onto the Moon Titan's other arm while a friend bot lured it near Dr. Chen's research facility, where it was finally killed by a second cannon shot to the head. Multiple shots are required to put these things down permanently. When the group approached the research facility, two large moon beasts were spotted in the distance, standing on top of a headless Moon Titan, using it as transportation. The captain, faced with two moon titans in episode 9, decided to make a break for it and run away. He was killed before he could make it to safety, proving that the correct response to encountering moon titans is not sprint in the opposite direction, but rather have an Element 75 U cannon ready. Humanity spent 150 years recovering from the lunar impact, restoring their oceans and population, advancing their technology, and rebuilding civilization. Their reward for all that effort was encountering building-sized zombies that require anti-materiel weapons weaponry to kill. Truly a triumph of perseverance. Moving on to the planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all became sentient through moon infection, which means the problem wasn't limited to Earth's moon deciding to commit planetary homicide. All four gas giants sport the same nightmare face as the moon: pure black eyes and a wide slasher smile stretched across their atmospheric surfaces. Their natural moons, Callisto, Titan, and Triton, were destroyed and replaced by sentient versions birthed by Patricia back in 10,000 BC, the same time Earth's moon was replaced. These infected moons then spent 12,000 years slowly infecting their host planets from the inside, turning them into living celestial bodies. The moons act as parasites that eventually awaken the planets themselves, which is an infection vector that operates on a geological timescale. After the moon crashed into Earth in 1969, Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus woke up and surrounded Earth in what FRIEND Industries calls an equilibrial gravitational three-way, which is corporate terminology for three giant planets hovering menacingly and locking us in place. They position themselves roughly 9 million kilometers from Earth, just behind the Lagrange influence disturbance zone, and prevented the planet from recovering by maintaining constant gravitational pressure. They didn't attack, they just stared. For 15 years, humanity lived under the gaze of three smiling gas giants that could obliterate them at any moment but chose not to. Here's the truly baffling part. FRIEND Industries had archived probe footage from 1959 showing both the moon and Jupiter exhibiting signs of sentience a full decade before the lunar impact. The footage captured Jupiter's surface opening to reveal its eyes, which was detected as an atmospheric shift. They knew. They had 10 years to warn the public, evacuate Earth, or do literally anything with this information, and they decided to file it away in an internal archive and proceed with business as usual. Extraordinary, I know. When FRIEND Industries finally sent probes to investigate the awakened planets in 1979, the planets responded by ejecting their moons from their mouths. Callisto emerged from Jupiter's mouth and Titan emerged from Saturn's mouth, both intercepting the probes and destroying them. Any attempt at approaching the planets failed. Notably, nobody wanted to get close to Uranus, which the series treats as an ongoing joke. When the giant alien hand eventually appeared to remove the planets in 1984, it grabbed Jupiter and Saturn normally, but picked up Uranus carefully with two fingers, as if it were contaminated. In 1984, a cosmic rift opened behind Jupiter and a giant hand emerged, grabbed all three planets, and pulled them through dimensional portals. Jupiter's expression briefly turned into a frown when grabbed, which is the only time any of the celestial bodies showed an emotion other than that unnerving smile. The disappearance of the three planets allowed humanity to recover over the next 150 years, restoring Earth's oceans, infrastructure, and population by 2134. Neptune woke up later and remained in the outer solar system until the Friendgate wormhole was constructed. When Stargoose ships 4, 5, and 6 traveled through the gate, Neptune chased them through the wormhole and swallowed Stargoose 5 entirely, killing everyone on board. Neptune then encountered Patricia on the other side of the rift, got attacked by her tentacles, and was subsequently grabbed by another alien hand and removed from our dimension. Mars also appears to be sentient based on archived probe footage, and FRIEND Industries has developed Project Phobos, a facility that can artificially wake Mars up by injecting it with concentrated moon juice. Because if there's one thing humanity learned from the apocalypse, it's that waking up more planets is a great idea. Next up is Patricia. Officially designated as the cephalopodin lunar progenitor, is a Class 0 celestial entity that is planet-sized and responsible for every single problem in the moon woke-up universe. She has a massive central orifice where sentient moons are birthed in a literal sense, accompanied by 8 large tentacles, 4 positioned on her front and 4 on her back. Patricia destroyed Earth's original moon in 10,000 BC by obliterating it with her tentacles, sending lunar debris bombarding Earth's surface and causing catastrophic tidal effects, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis that wiped out the existing ecosystem. She then gave birth to the sentient moon that would later crash into Earth in 1969 and positioned it in orbit as a replacement. She did the same thing to Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune's moons, destroying the originals and replacing them with sentient versions that would infect their host planets over the course of 12,000 years. Patricia cannot infect terrestrial planets like Mars, Venus, or Mercury, only gas giants and ice giants. Mars has two small asteroid-shaped moons, Phobos and Deimos, which Patricia cannot mimic properly, so she just ignored Mars entirely. Venus and Mercury don't have moons in real life, which means Patricia had nothing to replace. She exclusively targets planets with large natural satellites that she can destroy and weaponize, which is a very specific invasion strategy that requires her to wait thousands of years for results. Patricia was first discovered by Stargoose 4 and Stargoose 6 after they traveled through the Friendgate wormhole and witnessed her giving birth to an unnamed exomoon for an unnamed gas dwarf. Patrick Fisher, the pilot of Stargoose 6, looked at this planet-sized cosmic horror entity and said it reminded him of his great aunt Patricia, which is how the cephalopodin lunar progenitor got her nickname. The ship's AI friend GPT-9 then referred to her as Patricia for the rest of the episode. A cosmic entity responsible for the extinction of 90% of humanity is now permanently named after someone's relative. Patricia attacked Neptune by moving toward it and sticking her large tentacles into Neptune's eyes and mouth, causing Neptune to react with a heavy frown before being grabbed by the alien hand and removed. When Stargoose 6 attempted to chase Patricia through hyperspace, she released a swarm of hundreds of newly birthed moons in their path, forcing them to abort their moon jump and suffer heavy drive damage to their ship. Patricia escaped. The episode 7 flashback scene reveals that multiple cephalopodin lunar progenitors exist, with several hovering over Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune simultaneously during the 10,000 BC invasion. Patricia is not a singular entity, but rather one member of a species of planet-infecting cosmic horrors that birth weaponized satellites. Friend G, PT-9, suggested that Stargoose 6 fly into Patricia's mouth and detonate their moon drive to destroy her from the inside, which Patrick rightfully rejected as a suicidal plan. Patrick was more upset about his girlfriend Sally breaking up with him via video mail than he was about the giant tentacled entity that caused the apocalypse, which tells you everything you need to know about his priorities. Patricia is the true main antagonist of the series, the monster progenitor responsible for creating all living planets, and she's named after someone's aunt because a space pilot thought it was funny. Moving on to the alien hand. The alien hand is a mysterious entity of immense size that emerges from cosmic rifts to grab awakened planets and pull them through dimensional portals. It's a giant disembodied hand that appears behind sentient celestial bodies and reaches out, grabs them like they're marbles, and removes them from our reality. The hand first appeared at the end of episode 4, opening a cosmic rift behind Jupiter while the gas giant was hovering menacingly over Earth. The rift expanded, the hand emerged, slowly approached Jupiter, and grabbed it. Jupiter's expression briefly turned into a frown as it was being pulled back into the portal, which is the only time we've seen any of the awakened planets show fear or distress. The hand then grabbed Saturn and Uranus in the same manner and pulled all three through the rifts in 1984, 15 years after they first surrounded Earth. Uranus was carefully picked up with 2 fingers rather than being grasped like Jupiter and Saturn, which continues the series' running joke of treating Uranus as something nobody wants to touch directly. The hand's technique for removal varies depending on how contaminated it considers the planet to be, apparently. The entities operating these hands are referred to as taxmen in the series, implying they're collecting awakened planets for some higher authority or purpose. Stargoose 4 decided to follow the hand through the cosmic rift to discover its identity and whereabouts, and they have not been seen since. Their fate remains unknown. The purpose of the alien hand is entirely unclear. Community theories range from the hands eating the planets to stopping them from causing more damage to solar systems with life in them, to cosmic beings beyond human understanding, simply doing their species equivalent of bug collecting. They might think the empty grinning faces on the planets are cute by alien standards, the same way humans think certain insects are interesting enough to preserve in jars. The hand could also be benevolent, removing infected planets from solar systems to protect any remaining life, which would make them the closest thing this universe has to heroes. We don't know. FRIEND Industries doesn't know. Nobody knows. What we do know is that the disappearance of Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus allowed humanity to recover over the next 150 years. Earth's oceans were restored, the population was rebuilt, and technological advancement accelerated to the point where humanity became a spacefaring civilization. All of this was possible because something bigger and scarier than the sentient planets showed up and removed them. Humanity's response to 150 years of peace and prosperity was to immediately construct the Friendgate, a massive wormhole facility facility designed to travel through the same kind of cosmic rifts the alien hands use. Because if there's one thing humanity learned from narrowly avoiding extinction, it's that poking dimensional portals is a fantastic idea. The only thing scarier than sentient planets trying to kill you is whatever's strong enough to grab those planets with one hand and drag them into another dimension. Cosmic horror operates on a food chain just like everything else. There's always something bigger, always something worse, always another layer of existential dread waiting beyond the rift. The moon woke up and killed 90% of humanity. Patricia created the moon and dozens of other planet-killing entities. The alien hands collect Patricia's creations like their pest control, and somewhere beyond those hands, there's probably something even larger that we haven't encountered yet. In conclusion, cosmic horror operates on a food chain just like everything else, and you should absolutely watch it. Peace